One word. That is all it took to flip this entire quarterback battle on its head. Not a stat line, not a highlight reel, not some anonymous source whispering about a frontrunner. One single word leaked directly from inside the Cleveland Browns front office, and it changes everything you thought you knew about this competition. That word is parity. Now before you scroll past this thinking you already know the story, stop right there. Because when a front office voluntarily uses that word to describe a battle between a quarterback carrying $230 million in guaranteed money and a rookie who was not even in this building 12 months ago, something very real and very uncomfortable is happening behind those closed doors in Berea. Deshaun Watson has not taken a live competitive snap in nearly 2 years. Shedeur Sanders just walked into this league and somehow forced an entire organization to pump the brakes on handing the job to the most expensive player on their roster. And today, in Chicago, with rain falling and cameras rolling, both of them are about to face the one test that practice reps simply cannot replicate. The coaching staff has already told us exactly what they are watching most closely. And when you hear what it is, you will understand why this single preseason game might matter more than the last 20 practices combined. Drop a football emoji in the comments right now if you think Sanders has already won this job, and the front office just is not ready to admit it yet. Now let me walk you through everything that led to this moment, because what is really happening here goes way deeper than any headline.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Here is the thing about the word parity that most people are going to gloss over without actually thinking about what it means in this specific context. This is not some generic coach speak designed to keep both quarterbacks happy and avoid controversy during training camp. If that were the goal, the front office would use softer language. They would say something like both guys are competing hard, or we are pleased with the progress from both quarterbacks. That is standard NFL deflection language, and everyone in this league knows exactly what it sounds like. Parity is different. Parity is a word that carries genuine weight because it communicates something very specific. It means that after weeks of evaluation, after hundreds of practice reps, after film sessions and meeting room interactions, and every single data point this coaching staff has collected since the day both quarterbacks reported, neither Deshaun Watson nor Shedeur Sanders has created enough separation for this staff to feel comfortable making a decision. And if you are sitting here at Gridiron ground watching this unfold with me, I need you to understand how genuinely unusual that is. Todd Monken and his entire coaching staff walked into Cleveland this year with zero history with either quarterback, no prior relationship with Watson from a previous stop, no recruiting connection with Sanders from the college ranks, no emotional attachment to either outcome whatsoever. That kind of clean slate evaluation almost never happens in the NFL because coaches and front office executives constantly carry biases from previous interactions, previous draft investments, or previous public commitments they made to one player or another. This staff has none of that baggage. They showed up. They watched both quarterbacks work from day one of organized team activities through every single session of training camp. And the conclusion they have reached is that this thing is genuinely even. Now think about the pressure working against that conclusion for a moment. Watson is owed a historically massive guaranteed contract. There are people inside that building whose jobs and reputations are tied to the decision to bring him to Cleveland in the first place. Every single day this competition stays open is another day. The organization is implicitly admitting that a $230 million investment might not be the best option on their own roster. The easiest, most politically convenient thing this front office could do right now is find any justification to declare Watson the starter, move forward, and avoid the awkward conversations that come with potentially benching the highest paid player in franchise history for a rookie. The fact that they are not doing that, the fact that the word coming out of that building is parity instead of progress from Deshaun or Watson, is trending in the right direction, tells you that whatever Sanders has shown them in that building has been legitimately impossible to ignore. And if you have been following this journey with me here at Gridiron Ground, hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to walk you through over the next few sections is the kind of detail you will not find anywhere else. This is not surface-level coverage. This is the real story behind what is happening inside that quarterback room. But the front office evaluation is only half the picture. Because to truly understand what is at stake today, you have to understand what Deshaun Watson has been quietly battling behind the scenes for the last 2 years. And that part of this story is something most people have completely overlooked. Let that timeline sink in for a second. October 2024. That is the last time Deshaun Watson lined up behind center in a game that actually counted. He ruptured his Achilles tendon that day, and everything about his professional life changed in one violent, unforgiving moment. We are not talking about a minor soft tissue tweak that cost him a few weeks. We are not talking about a shoulder issue that limited.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Is throwing for a stretch of the offseason. An Achilles rupture is one of the most devastating injuries a professional athlete can suffer. And for a quarterback who relied on mobility and escapability as core components of his game, it is even more significant than it would be for a pure pocket passer who never leaves the structure of the play. Watson himself has been remarkably honest about what this injury did to him. He said publicly that his game has changed since that moment. Not in some vague, media-trained way where he danced around the question. He said it plainly. He acknowledged that the version of himself that terrorized defenses in Houston, the version that could extend plays and create something from nothing on broken downs, that version has been fundamentally altered by what his body went through. That kind of self-awareness from a veteran quarterback is rare, and it deserves respect regardless of where you stand on whether he should be the starter this season. But here is the part of this story that does not get enough attention. There is a well-documented psychological phenomenon in professional sports where athletes returning from serious injuries carry a subconscious layer of hesitation, even after they have been fully cleared to play. It does not always show up in practice. In a controlled environment where you know your own teammates are not genuinely trying to put you on the ground, where the pass rush is competitive but still operating within understood boundaries, it is relatively easy for a veteran to look like himself again. The real test comes when somebody you have never lined up against is charging at you with genuine intent to disrupt everything you are trying to do. When a defensive end you have no history with is bending the corner and your body has to make a split-second decision about whether to step up, slide away, or hold your ground and deliver the throw while absorbing contact. That is when post-injury hesitation either reveals itself or proves it has genuinely faded. And Watson has not faced that test once since the injury happened. Not a single time. Every positive rep he has accumulated this entire offseason has come against his own defense, his own teammates, in a setting specifically designed to evaluate without genuinely endangering. Today is different. Today, the Chicago Bears defensive front is not going to pull up short. They are not going to give him a courtesy second to gather himself. They are going to come at him the way every opponent will come at him in September if he wins this job. And what happens in those first few reps when the pocket collapses around him, and his body has to react instinctively without thinking? That is going to tell us more about where Watson actually stands in his recovery than any practice report from the last 8 weeks ever could. The flashes have been there in camp. Multiple observers have noted moments where the arm talent and the explosiveness looked genuinely reminiscent of peak Watson. But flashes in practice and sustained performance under real pressure are two fundamentally different things. And Watson knows that better than anyone. But here is what makes today even more revealing than most people realize. The coaching staff is not just watching Watson throw the ball. They are specifically testing both quarterbacks in one particular situation that strips away every safety net football can offer. And the reason they chose that specific test tells you exactly what kind of quarterback they are looking for. The 2-minute drill. That is the evaluation priority the front office flagged heading into this preseason opener. And if you understand football at any real depth, you immediately recognize why that choice is so telling. A 2-minute drill is not just a faster version of regular offense. It is a completely different cognitive exercise. Every single element of quarterback play gets compressed and amplified simultaneously. You do not have the luxury of walking to the line, surveying the defense, checking with your sideline, and calmly making your pre-snap adjustments. You are processing coverage shells while the play clock and the game clock are both working against you. You are communicating protections to your offensive line on the move. You are making route adjustments to your receivers based on defensive alignments you have maybe 1 full second to diagnose before the ball needs to be snapped. And every single decision you make carries exponentially more weight than it would on a first quarter, 1st and 10 snap, where a mistake can be overcome over the next 2 downs. Todd Monken choosing to weight today's evaluation around this specific situational football tells you something profound about what he actually values in a starting quarterback. He's not looking for the guy who runs the cleanest scripted opening drive when everything is perfectly organized and rehearsed. He is looking for the quarterback who can operate under maximum mental strain with the game on the line, because that is the quarterback who wins you games in November and December when the margin between making the playoffs and going home is 1 late-game drive in a hostile stadium. Think about how many regular season NFL games come down to exactly this situation. A team trailing by 4 with 2 minutes left, needing a scoring drive or the season effectively ends. A team trying to get into field goal range before halftime with 30 seconds and 1 time.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
About remaining. These moments decide seasons. They decide careers. And they demand a very specific kind of quarterback. One who does not speed up internally even as everything around him accelerates. Sanders reportedly has shown real composure in exactly these kinds of situational reps throughout camp. Multiple practice reports have noted his ability to process quickly without panicking, to deliver the ball on time, and with accuracy even when the drill is specifically designed to create mental overload. Watson has shown flashes of his own in these moments, but the consistency has reportedly been less reliable across the full body of camp work. Now, whether those practice observations hold up against live competition today is the entire question. Because there is a massive difference between running a 2-minute drill against a defensive scheme you have already seen 100 times in practice versus running one against a coordinator who has spent all week specifically game planning to confuse you with looks you have never seen before. That is the gap this game is designed to close. And here is the part that makes this evaluation even more critical than it already sounds. If you are a subscriber here at Gridiron Ground, you already know I do not throw around hyperbole for the sake of clicks. When I tell you this game matters, I mean it with full conviction. Because the coaching staff essentially told us they are treating today's 2-minute work as the single most important evaluation data point in this entire competition so far, not one of several priorities, the priority. That means whatever both quarterbacks show in those specific situations today is going to carry disproportionate weight in the conversations happening inside that building tomorrow morning. And there is one quarterback in this competition who walked into this process with absolutely nothing handed to him, and has somehow forced an entire organization to take him seriously enough that parity is the word being used to describe his standing against a $230 million investment. But what exactly has Sanders done to earn that standing? And why are so few people talking about the details? This is the part of the story that keeps getting buried underneath the Watson contract narrative and the media fascination with the veteran comeback angle. Shedeur Sanders walked into the Cleveland Browns facility as a rookie and within a matter of weeks forced a brand new coaching staff to publicly acknowledge that the quarterback competition was genuinely open. Not future open, not developmental open where they tell you a young player might compete for the job in year 2 or 3. Open right now today, with the starting job for week 1 of the regular season legitimately on the table. Think about how difficult that is to accomplish in this league as a rookie quarterback walking into a room where the other option is a former Pro Bowler with nearly a decade of NFL experience and the largest guaranteed contract in franchise history. The deck is stacked against you in every conceivable way. The financial investment says the job belongs to the other guy. The experience gap says the other guy should be further along in learning the playbook. The institutional inertia of an organization that traded multiple first-round picks to acquire the veteran says the entire building has a vested interest in the other guy working out. And Sanders apparently walked right through all of that and made it irrelevant through his play on the practice field. The specific details that have emerged from camp paint a picture of a quarterback who is doing the quiet things that coaching staffs value most. He has reportedly been the more turnover conscious of the two quarterbacks throughout the majority of this camp. Not by a small margin, but consistently enough that it became a talking point among multiple reporters covering these sessions. He has shown an ability to anticipate throws and deliver the ball before receivers finish their breaks, which is one of the most difficult skills for any young quarterback to demonstrate at the NFL level, because it requires genuine trust in your own processing and in the root concepts you are reading. There have been rumors circulating online that Sanders walked into this building with a confidence level that some veterans found surprising for a player his age. Whether you read that as arrogance or as the necessary self-belief it takes to compete at this level is a matter of perspective, but the result has been a player who does not seem intimidated by the moment or the magnitude of what he is competing for. Some speculation has even suggested that members of the coaching staff were privately impressed earlier in camp than anyone publicly acknowledged, and that the parity framework being communicated now actually reflects a reality that has existed inside that building for longer than the media timeline would suggest. And here is the detail that ties everything together. The evaluation priority for today is 2-minute drill work. Sanders has reportedly been at his best in exactly those kinds of high-pressure situational reps throughout camp. If there is one specific game scenario designed to showcase what he does well, it is precisely the one this coaching staff has chosen to emphasize heading into this preseason opener. Coincidence is one explanation. But the other explanation, the one that honestly makes more football sense,
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
That this staff already knows what Sanders can do in those situations and wants to see it verified against live competition before they are willing to take the next step. And what comes next is a variable that nobody in this competition can control, but one that could genuinely tilt the perception of everything that happens today in a direction that has nothing to do with either quarterback's actual ability. Rain. It sounds like a minor footnote in a preseason game story, but if you actually think through the implications of the forecast for today's game in Chicago, it becomes a much more significant factor than most casual viewers are going to appreciate. The current weather reports are calling for light to moderate rain during the early portions of this game, with conditions expected to clear up sometime during the second half. Now map that timeline directly onto the quarterback playing time structure. Watson gets the first 2 quarters. Sanders takes over in the third quarter. That means Watson is likely operating for his entire stretch of work in wet conditions, while Sanders could potentially get the benefit of drier, cleaner conditions for his stretch of the game. This matters in very practical, tangible ways. A wet football is harder to grip, especially for a quarterback delivering throws into tight windows where ball placement needs to be precise down to inches. Wet footing affects a quarterback's ability to drive off his back foot with full power and accuracy, which can turn throws that would normally be completions into balls that flutter, sail, or die short of their intended target. And ball security on exchanges, handoffs, and play-action fakes all becomes a more precarious proposition when surfaces are slick. None of this means Watson gets a free pass for poor performance if the rain does affect his stretch of work. He is a veteran NFL quarterback, and managing adverse conditions is part of the job description at this level. But it does mean that any honest evaluation of today's game needs to account for the conditions each quarterback was operating in, rather than simply comparing box scores side by side as if both players were working in identical environments. I have seen this exact dynamic play out in evaluation conversations before, where a quarterback's performance in bad weather gets unfairly weighted against him because the raw numbers look worse on paper, while a different quarterback benefits from cleaner conditions and gets credit for a statistical advantage that had as much to do with the weather clearing up as it did with any actual difference in play quality. I am committed to being fair about this when I sit down to break down the film after the game. If Watson's footwork looks off and his ball placement drifts in the rain, I am going to note that the conditions were a real contributing factor before I judge whether those misses reflect something deeper about his readiness. And if Sanders puts up clean numbers in drier conditions, I am going to acknowledge that advantage before giving him full credit for a statistically superior outing. Because the only way this evaluation means anything is if we are honest about every variable involved, not just the ones that support the narrative we walked into the game already wanting to believe. And speaking of narratives, there is an entire media war happening around this competition that most fans do not fully appreciate. The story you have been told about this quarterback battle depends almost entirely on which reporter you have been listening to. And today is the first time any of us can actually verify the truth for ourselves. Here is something that does not get said enough about this training camp, and I think it is important to say it directly before we watch this game unfold. Almost everything you think you know about this quarterback competition has been filtered through somebody else's eyes. Every single piece of information that shaped your opinion about whether Watson or Sanders has been better this camp came from a practice report written by a reporter who was watching from one specific angle, tracking one specific set of reps, and interpreting what they saw through their own existing framework of beliefs about both players. That is not a criticism of the reporters covering this camp. They are doing their jobs, and the overwhelming majority of them are doing it honestly and to the best of their ability. But it is a reality worth acknowledging, because different reporters watching different sessions have produced genuinely contradictory accounts of what has been happening on that practice field. One outlet would come away from a Tuesday session saying Watson looked sharp.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
And was building momentum. A different outlet covering the Wednesday session would report that Sanders was clearly the more consistent performer that day. Quarterback tracking charts, which we have discussed at length on this channel throughout camp, showed numbers that fluctuated dramatically depending on which day was being tracked and how different observers defined completions, throwaways, and contested passes. And then the narratives started building on top of each other. Watson's late camp improvement got picked up by certain corners of the media and amplified into a full-blown surge narrative, with some voices suggesting the competition was effectively trending his direction based on a handful of strong recent sessions. Meanwhile, other reporters who had been tracking the full body of work pushed back, arguing that the surge narrative was outrunning the actual evidence because it was cherry-picking Watson's best stretch while downplaying Sanders' consistently solid overall performance. Both sides had some legitimate basis for their positions. Both sides were also, unavoidably, working with incomplete information because no single person watched every single rep of every single practice from every possible angle. That is why today matters in a way that goes beyond just the quarterback competition itself. This is the first time the evaluation moves from second-hand characterization to first-person, publicly available, independently reviewable evidence. Every snap Watson takes today will be on broadcast film. Every throw Sanders makes will be captured from multiple angles. Nobody needs to trust my word or any other reporter's word about what happened. You will be able to watch it yourself and form your own conclusions based on what you actually see rather than what somebody tells you they saw. For a competition that has been debated, argued, and fought over for weeks based almost entirely on incomplete, filtered, sometimes contradictory practice reports, the arrival of actual game film is a genuinely significant shift in the information landscape. And whatever that film shows, I am going to break it down for you completely honestly, frame by frame, without shading the analysis toward either player. That is what we do here. But before we get to the game itself, there is one more layer to today's evaluation that most people are going to ignore entirely because it does not involve either of the two big names. And honestly, that is a mistake, because what happens in the fourth quarter today has real implications for decisions this organization will have to make very soon. Everybody watching today is going to be locked in on Watson's first half and Sanders' third quarter, and that is completely understandable given the stakes attached to both stretches of work. But the fourth quarter of this game matters too, and I think dismissing it entirely would be a mistake for anyone trying to understand the full picture of where this roster stands heading into final cut decisions. Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Taylon Green will handle that final stretch of the game, operating almost entirely behind backup offensive linemen, with reserve receivers and tight ends rotating through the skill positions around them. That is a dramatically...
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Different evaluation environment compared to what Watson and Sanders are working with earlier in the game, and it needs to be understood on its own terms rather than directly compared to the first three quarters. What the coaching staff is looking for from that fourth quarter work is different in nature. They are not evaluating whether Thompson-Robinson or Green can win the starting job. They are evaluating whether either player has shown enough to justify a roster spot as a developmental backup, or whether the organization feels comfortable carrying just two quarterbacks into the regular season and using that extra roster spot on a position with more pressing depth concerns. That is a real, consequential decision that gets made in the days following games exactly like this one. A strong fourth quarter showing from either Thompson-Robinson or Green could genuinely be the difference between making this 53-man roster and getting released before the season starts. There are also real evaluation questions being answered at other positions during this game that deserve attention, even if they are not the headline story. How the backup offensive line handles live-pass rush is going to matter for depth decisions. Whether certain young receivers can separate and produce against an unfamiliar secondary will factor into final roster composition. Defensive depth players fighting for special teams roles will be showcasing their value on every single snap they get today. A complete picture of this game requires paying attention to all of those layers, not just the quarterback competition at the top. And if you have been following along with me here at Gridiron Ground through this entire process, you know that the complete picture is always what we are after. I do not cherry-pick the moments that fit a narrative. I do not ignore the uncomfortable details that complicate a clean storyline. I give you everything, the full context, every variable accounted for, every layer examined. That is why this channel exists, and that is why I need you subscribed and locked in right now, because the breakdown coming after this game is going to be the most thorough, most honest, and most detailed analysis you will find anywhere. No shortcuts, no agenda, just football evaluated properly. And now, with all of that context laid out, all the variables identified, all the storylines mapped, It is time to zoom all the way out and understand what today truly represents for the Cleveland Browns as a franchise. Because the decision that comes out of this competition is not just about picking a starting quarterback. It is about choosing a direction that will define this organization for years to come. Step back from the individual reps and the specific throws and the box score that will come out of today's game and look at the situation from 30,000 feet. Because the magnitude of what Cleveland is navigating right now is genuinely historic by NFL standards. This franchise invested more guaranteed money in Deshaun Watson than any team in league history had ever committed to a single player at the time that deal was signed. That contract was not just a financial transaction. It was a public declaration of organizational identity. It said to the league, to the fan base, and to every other player in that locker room that this is our guy, this is the future, and we are betting everything on it working out. And now, less than 3 years later, that same organization is standing in front of the football world, acknowledging through its own front office channels that a rookie 5th overall pick has played his way into a genuinely even competition for the job the franchise already paid $250 million to fill. That is not a normal situation. That is not something that happens routinely across this league. The financial and reputational pressure to simply hand Watson the job and move forward is enormous. And the fact that this staff is resisting that pressure tells you something very real about what they have seen from Sanders behind closed doors. If Sanders wins this job, the ripple effects extend far beyond Cleveland. It reshapes how the entire league thinks about rookie quarterback readiness, about the sunk cost fallacy in professional sports, and about whether organizations have the courage to make the best football decision, even when the financial spreadsheet is screaming at them to go the other direction. It would also validate everything Deshaun Sanders said about his son's readiness for this level, which would carry its own massive narrative weight heading into the regular season. If Watson wins this job, the questions do not go away. They just shift. Can a fan base that watched a rookie push the most expensive quarterback in franchise history to the absolute brink of losing his job rally behind the veteran with genuine belief and energy? Or does the shadow of how close this competition was follow Watson into every single regular season game, with every incompletion and every bad decision met with a chorus of voices asking whether the organization made the wrong call? There is no clean, easy outcome here. Every possible resolution carries complications and consequences that will play out over months and potentially years. And that is precisely what makes today so fascinating and so important. Because the first real evidence that will shape that ultimate decision is about to be produced on a football field in Chicago, in front of cameras, in front of millions of viewers, and in front of a coaching staff that has told us exactly what they are looking for. The next few hours might not give us the final answer, but they are going to give us the first honest, unfiltered look at a competition that has been debated in the dark for far too long. And whatever that look reveals, the course of this franchise is going to shift because of it. So here is where everything stands as we sit on the edge of kickoff. A coaching staff with no loyalty to either quarterback has watched this competition unfold all summer and landed on one word to describe it: parity. A veteran quarterback carrying the largest guaranteed contract in franchise history is about to take his first competitive snap in nearly 2 years, knowing that his rookie competitor has already done something most people thought was impossible by making this a real fight. A rookie who walked into a building designed around someone else's contract and forced an entire organization to question its own assumptions through nothing but consistent, composed, turnover-conscious football. Rain is threatening to complicate the early evaluation. The 2-minute drill has been flagged as the single most important test either player will face today. And for the first time this entire offseason, every single one of us gets to watch the evidence unfold in real time instead of relying on someone else to tell us what happened. This is the moment everything has been building toward, not just for Watson, not just for Sanders, for the entire future direction of the Cleveland Browns franchise. I am going to be breaking this game down the moment it ends. Every throw, every read, every decision, with the full context and complete honesty you expect from Gridiron Ground. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure those notifications are on. And ask yourself this one question while you watch today. If parity is real, and this coaching staff truly cannot separate these two players, what does that say about the rookie who forced that reality into existence? I will see you right after the game with the full breakdown. This is Gridiron Ground, and real football is finally here.